Good Saturday evening, everybody. It's David Schlotthauer here, and I hope you're having, of course, a great Saturday evening. Yesterday was the first day of summer, and that means time to have barbecues. Just time to have a lot of fun out there. Jump in the pool, go swimming, because a lot of people are going to need to do that if you're in the Midwest, the Deep South, the Eastern Seaboard. Lots of hot weather is going to be dominating much of the eastern half of the nation over the next week, while us here back west will just enjoy some really mild temperatures. So, but in today's video, or in today's stream, though, we are going to be talking about the tropics, because tonight is going to be one of those streams to where we need to watch for July really closely. And the reason why is the pattern is going to be changing, and it looks like it's already trying to do that, but it's really going to be more so once we go into the first full week of July. So I hope you all are having are doing really great. I hope you are having a great Saturday. I know I may not be making very much sense, and that's because I only got an hour of sleep last night. Woohoo! Yes, I got an hour of sleep last night. Had a really rough night getting to bed. Not because it's been hot, just because I just have a really bad time getting to bed last night. So, with that being said, let's take a look here at our latest GOES 19 true to color visible satellite imagery, because everyone wants to know what's going on out there in the tropics. And fortunately, there is not a lot going on out there in the main development region. Lots and lots of dry, dusty Saharan air. Actually, there is a little bit of a pocket here of some Saharan dust coming off of Africa that's already making its way across much of the easternmost portion there of the Caribbean, and even moving into the westernmost portion there of the main development region in the Atlantic basin side of things. But over here in the Eastern Pacific, there is still a lot of convection going on, and this is pretty much puzzling, because this very much stands out to be an El Niño type of pattern that we're in, where we have all these storms that are taking place in the Eastern Pacific. My gosh, we're already up on our letter G storm. Yeah, our letter, oh no, wait, Flossie. So they skip G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, no, wait, A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, no, it's F, sorry. E, F, then it's G. So yeah, this has just been a really busy period in the Eastern Pacific, while the Atlantic has just been really, really quiet. And the reason why that is because our MJO, our Matt and Julian oscillation, likes to camp out in the Eastern Pacific and has not made its way into the Atlantic basin as of today. And until that happens, I just don't see any point of getting anything significant out here anytime soon in the Atlantic, because of all this dry, dusty Saharan air that is in place. And it's warmer aloft than colder aloft. So that's going to relate to a lot of stability problems. And so that is why you're seeing a very, very naked picture here of no substantial tropical waves at all. Although there is a little bit of a tropical wave right over here moving into Trinidad and Tobago over the next day or so. That is not going to be a problem at all. And instead, that is going to be actually the energy that is going to possibly help develop our next system in the Eastern Pacific. That makes sense. So yeah, the Eastern Pacific is going to remain busy for a while. And that's just because where the pattern has been locked in at. And so let's take a look here at our National Hurricane Center, because this is going to be pretty important. Let's go to that. Yeah, sorry, I didn't get every tab ready today, because literally I overslept. I took a little power nap and just thought, man, I was almost not wanting to do this today because I'm so beat. I'm just like as tired as I could ever be, but I'm glad I'm here doing this today. Continue to produce the content kind of deal. And so you can see here on the National Hurricane Center, nothing is expected over the next 7 days. Well, duh, there's no tropical waves expected, at least over the next few days, over the main development region and over the Caribbean, although that one tropical wave is something that we are monitoring just for some heavy rainfall, some breezy trade winds, and that's about it. Might give you a nice little dosing of rain, but otherwise, yep, looking nice and quiet over there in the Eastern Pacific. And in the Atlantic, excuse me. Now the Eastern Pacific, though, doesn't end. It does not end. We have another system. This has a high chance of tropical development here, 70% over the next 7 days. And more likely, there is definitely a lot of indications that this does become a tropical storm. It does not look to be as prevalent as what we had with Eric, where that thing just blew up. This one is going to be more likely a high-grade tropical storm if it actually does get going. And it would become our next named storm, which would be Philosophy, our letter F storm. I mean, that's A, B, C, D, E, F. That's our sixth named storm. Sixth named storm in the Eastern Pacific, which is one of the most active East Pacific hurricane seasons this early in the year on record. Yeah. So that's what we're dealing with. That's exactly with what we're contending with. So there's a 70% chance over the next 7 days that something does get going there in the Eastern Pacific. Now let's take a look here at the Atlantic. Again, our tropical tidbit models here, the GFS forecast. And this is a look at the lower parts of the atmosphere. So this is about 5,000 feet above your head, 5,000 feet above the ground level, above 5,000 feet above sea level, however you want to interpret this, but it means the same thing. Nice, good. Oh, let's go back here. Spoiler alert there. So nice, good Bermuda high is intact here on, actually, you know what? We're not even going to use a GFS because it's been a little retarded today. So we'll be just using the European model instead, because the European model has been a little bit more realistic with the whole upcoming pattern evolution. So this afternoon, nice, good subtropical ridge intact here. And that's because, well, the pattern that we're in does favor a much stronger, more stable portion of the Saharan air. And the trade winds are very strong. So that's going to stay with us all the way over the next 5 to 7 days. Look at this, does not change at all. And there's our tropical wave right there, by the way. This is, again, for Sunday. There it is. There's our little itty bitty cyclonic vorticity there, bringing a little bit of inclement weather once it gets over Trinidad and Tobago. But again, nothing is expected out of that system. We're not expecting any tropical development whatsoever. Just something that, yeah, it gets our attention. It really does. And so when we take a look here at the Eastern Pacific, however, yep, there it is. What do you know? Something else is going to pop out of the blue in near where we had Eric. Telling you, I'm surprised a lot of the heat has not been exchanged out of the oceans over here because of just repeated storms just over and over and over again. I mean, July or June has just been one for the record books there for the Eastern Pacific, and for the Atlantic, still nothing at all. Still nothing at all over the next 10 days. But look at what happens, though. Once we go beyond the 10-day forecast, let's just go out to the first full week of July. Almost there. Just give it another day. We'll get up to the 7th. Here's a nice, good tropical wave here. Here is another nice, good tropical wave here in the Eastern Pacific. But what you do not see very well is that the high up here to the north is actually a little weaker, with trade winds that are going to become weaker as well. and that's going to really help to kickstart these tropical waves. So the pattern is finally changing. Still looks that way as we go into the very early part of July. Although now we have all these trade winds, the Saharan dust is really making things very suppressed. That should be abating a little bit once we go into July. Okay. And you can even see, let's take a look at our low level winds because I wanted to show you this too. I mean, look at this. This is all westerly. Okay. All westerly winds all the way back here. And so the winds curve around and then they just do this. Okay. This is what we look for. This is a enhancement of the intertropical convergence zone. This is the enhanced phase of the ITF, or known as what we call the monsoonal trough. This gets extended off of Africa. And every time it does, you get really strong trade winds and the background state is favorable. Yeah, we could get some spin ups, and the chances of those are a bit easier under this type of pattern that we are entering. So that is why we need to really watch this pattern very, very closely. I just realized my camera is off again. I don't know why this keeps on happening, but let me do this, and let's go over here. There we go. My face is back. Now you all can see me. You could all see me now. Okay, so this is what we need to, this is what we're watching. Okay, this is what's going to give us a heightened awareness, not necessarily any development, but it's basically nature telling us we need to watch the Atlantic in July. We need to pay close attention for a pattern like this because weaker trades, sea surface temperatures are going to warm up. We know that for a fact. They're really going to warm up at a rapid rate, more further than they are now. More moisture coming off of Africa, lesser dry air opportunities, and voila, we need the background state to cooperate. And once it does, I believe, is when trouble is going to hit the fan. Not right away. I would probably expect something to develop probably around the 7th or the 8th or the 9th of July under this kind of pattern. But take note, no trade winds. We go back. This is what we're seeing. This is a pattern that you do not want to see. Okay. This is a pattern that is very, very stable. That is off of Africa. You get these trade winds that are very strong up here, very strong in the Caribbean. I mean, this is just, there's no really definement of confluence. But watch this. We play this through. Watch this pattern change. Watch it. See, look at that. Got westerly winds on the 3rd of July. On the 3rd, winds turn direction from the east to the west here. And they continue that way all the way through the 6th. So definitely a reversal in our winds here. From the westerly direction, that means more rain chances too along in Western Africa. All right, let's take a look now at our wind anomalies, because this is also another tool that I have recently started using, especially this year, because this really defies where we have our easterly wind anomalies, where the trade winds are blowing stronger than normal, and where we have our westerly wind anomalies, where our westerly winds or where our trade winds are much weaker than they should be. So putting this into motion over the next 5 days, this is what we have. It's strong trade winds here in purple. Also in the Caribbean, also in the Gulf, strong trade winds, right? That's going to help keep the oceans from really warming up too quickly, although the Gulf has surprised us a little bit on that. We'll look at that here in a second. Look what happens. Look what happens. Those are some much weaker trade winds out there across the main development region. Off of Africa, all of this orange, that really flips. Take a look at that. That really, really switches very quickly. This is 5 days from now, like the 1 to 5 day forecast, this is 11 to 15 days out. Look at the difference. Trade winds down here go bye-bye. They just disappear. And that is why we're looking ahead here and telling you all that, whoa, we need to really watch. We definitely have to watch the Caribbean and also the main development region for these tropical waves. This is kind of giving us a signal where our tropical waves coming off of Africa will be more stronger than they are right now. And if they have enough moisture, the background state is favorable, that is how we get development. All right, that's what we need to be aware of. We get a lot of confluence or convergence at the surface along that monsoonal trough or that intertropical convergence zone. Okay. Wind shear, too, is also going to be backing off a lot. Look at this. Wind shear is strong over the next 3 to 4 days, but then look what happens. This is a wrong model run. This is the 12D output from the Euro, so it goes further out in time. Look what happens. So you got a lot of shear. The shear is lighter out here. Doesn't go completely away, but it's a lot weaker. So when we go to our shear anomaly forecast, watch what happens. All this blue, all that blue there on your screen, that's lighter shear. That's lighter than average vertical wind shear. And that means, well, the shear is below average and wind shear kills storms. So if you think about it, if you get easterly winds at the surface, westerly winds aloft at about, say 30,000, 40,000 feet, there's going to be a lot of vertical wind shear. And that just chews up storms. Storms don't survive that. And so we look at this very carefully for any wind shear changes, and looks like there's going to be a lot weaker vertical wind shear coming by the early part of July. All of this blue here denoting near average to below average vertical wind shear numbers. While it's still in the Gulf here, this is more of a northerly shear that is in place, more of a west-southwesterly or west-northwesterly shear. Looks to be a little bit of a trough that is involved here that's going to help to keep the shear over here stronger than average. But I want to make it clear, it's only early July on this forecast model, and we have a long way to go. We really do, okay? So looking at the deep layer moisture plot here, also, it's all about the drier air. And boy, oh boy, do we have a lot of it out there. All of this brown on your screen, people that are watching this live stream, denote where we have deep layer amounts of dry air from about 10,000 feet all the way up to 32, 34,000 feet. And this chokes off any tropical development too. Deep layer vertical wind shear and dry air. Okay. And it's too stable out here. So that's why I'm not seeing anything. And in fact, there's no convection. Look at this, 51 hours out from now. There's no convection at all out here coming off of Africa. It's not until we get into early July when the pattern does look to change. And that's where we get more deeper convection. But even so, this is still too far south. And so when we look at Africa a little closely, yeah, this is really far south, the intertropical convergence zone. And you can see really dry over here. So this is telling us that this is not unusual. It's nothing to be concerned about when it comes to like, oh, why is it not busy? Well, it's because climatology, and we're going to have to wait until at least the 7th or the 8th or the 9th of July. I think we'll see at least 1 or 2 named storms in July. It's just a matter of when they will be, but probably more like the late, early part of July into the middle of July is where we're going to need to watch for maybe the chances of tropical development. And I'll show you why here in a split second. Well, not in a split second, but when we get and look at our velocity potentials. Okay, so this is what this is showing right now. And when we look at the rest of the Atlantic, yeah, look at this. Below average PWAP values, the air is just really, really dry. So I don't see anything forming, but we do see a reversal in our trade winds. Our trade winds are going to fall apart as we go into early July. Okay, so sea surface temperatures now. This really is concerning me by a lot, okay? The longer we wait for the waters here to warm up, well, not warm up, but the longer we wait for activity to develop in the tropics here of the Atlantic, the warmer these waters are going to get, and the more energy that these oceans are holding for any system that does move over, and things could go south very fast. So looking at the Gulf here, yeah, I mean, come on. Very warm off the Louisiana coast right now. I know these are really shallow waters, but with that heat wave that is going to be building in over the next couple of weeks, these waters are going to heat up even further. I mean, we're already at around the 86 to 88 degree Fahrenheit level here off the Louisiana, off the Mississippi, Alabama coast. And it's only going to get warmer, I'm telling you. And look at this, the loop current here running well above where we should be this time of the year, including the Bay of Youth and along the coast here of Tampa Bay, Florida, Sarasota, the Big Bend, running ahead of schedule with those sea surface temperatures around the mid to upper 80s there. And you can see the sea surface temperature anomaly here in the Gulf. I've been saying this time and time again that the Gulf is ready for business. If anything takes full advantage of the Gulf here, let's hope it doesn't, because if it does, rest assure you, we could be dealing with some pretty intense, insane hurricane development there. All right, so that's a look at the Gulf with sea surface temperature anomalies. Let's take a look here at our NOAA Coral Reef Watch, because this is looking at the rest of the Atlantic. And I will tell you what, folks, I will tell you what. Let's go to here. That's so that, because that shows a whole image. Yes, we understand it's warm here. We are seeing sea surface temperatures that are slightly above average in the Caribbean, and we know the subtropics here are definitely warm. But look what has happened here recently. We've kind of chewed off some of the upper ocean anomalies here in recent days, with very warm sea surface temperatures here building back in across much of the northeastern Atlantic. And here's a catch to all of this. Look at our deep tropics. Yeah, look at the main development region. That has really warmed up now, running about 1 to 1.5 degrees above average where it should be this time of the year. And our Atlantic Niño is slowly getting chewed away. And the thing I wanted to show you all about this is, honestly, when it comes to an Atlantic Niño, I got something cool to show you, because we can look at we can look at archives on this. And I showed this in yesterday's video, because this is going to be important. Okay. Do we get a lot of tropical development with that Atlantic Niño that is in place? So let's go over to here. Let me make sure I got the right sector. Perfect. That's what we look for. Okay, so let's go over to 2020. Okay, 2020. Okay, where are we? Okay, there's 2020. Let's go to June 20th of that year. And let's open up another window. Actually, you know what? There's only really one analog I could honestly look back on, and that's going to be 2005, because of, no, it's, oh my gosh, what hurricane season was it? I think it was 2017, sorry. See, I should have prepped this all out before I went live today, and so I'm just kind of searching, lurking for the right analog that best suits this. I think it was 2019. Okay, it was one analog where we have an Atlantic Niño where it was still busy. I forgot what year that was. I think it was like 2013 or 2014, something in the realm of books there. But long story short, okay, this is fading away. Okay, that's all that matters right now. And what I mean by that, if we play a movie, okay, if we go and play a movie of this in the last 30 days and go here, it should play. Is it going to play on us? Yeah, it's going to play on us. Watch this very closely. Watch this Atlantic Niño over here. Just watch. So here it is. Late May, it develops. Okay. And then it intensifies. Look at this. Okay. And then look what's going on over here. Sea surface temperatures are building. They are warming. And if that's not enough, let's actually take a look here at one more sector, which Weather Bell will actually give us. Because this, we could go all the way out into Africa itself. Okay. Watch this right over here. Pay close attention when I go to our sea surface temperature anomalies. Watch. So this is early May. So this is early May. This is the middle of May. Okay. Watch what's going on off the coast here. So this is late May. Our Atlantic Niño is trying to get established. And it does briefly. You can see just how cold these anomalies were at one point. And this is when it was really, really intense. Okay. But watch what has happened recently. Look at how warm water temperatures have actually gotten over here. And this is going to be building this way with those lightning trade winds. Once we get into early July, mid-July, these anomalies right here that are above average are going to fill in, I believe. This is what I strongly believe in. And I'm not wishing for anything. I'm not wishing for a busy season, but we look at weather patterns, we look at sea surface temperature patterns, and we look at this stuff pretty carefully. And so, yes, it has not officially been whisked away, but look at, it's not as dominant as it was just a few days ago, where we had a very well prominent Atlantic Niño. And that is going to play a huge role in how our Atlantic hurricane season is going to pan out. Because we know this is warming up out here. This is slowly fading away. I mean, that's barely even below average. That's pretty much normal at this point. All right. And we have seen very busy, terrible seasons. Even so, the Caribbean here is seeing at least average sea surface temperatures. It's all because of the trade winds that have been strong. But rest assured, you all, once those trade winds slacken off in early July, I do believe we're going to have a lot of warming that takes place in this area of the basin all the way. Actually, let's draw this up a little fatter. This whole area, I believe, is going to really warm up between early July and middle to late August. Okay, there's room for change. I'm telling you, this is not the solidified deal with those water temperature anomalies. Okay, and therefore, we still need to take this season quite seriously if you haven't taken it seriously enough. So now back to this. Upper ocean heat content is also a lot lower in portions of the Caribbean. I mean, look at how low this is. This is pretty significant, actually. We should see already some teal blue colors and more green colors here in portions of the Caribbean, although the northwestern Caribbean has warmed up sufficiently, and also the Gulf with that loop current, but not like it was last year. And when we take a look at our upper ocean heat content anomaly, there's a lot of green here indicating that upper ocean heat content anomalies are below average. But again, please do not focus on that and be like, oh, looks like the season's going to be a bust then, right? Because our upper ocean heat content is below average. That's not what this is telling us. Okay. It's telling us that the trade winds have been stronger, things have been mixed up a little bit, and there's room for change. The Gulf is still running well above average with upper ocean heat content, and even our subtropics here, upper ocean heat content is slightly above average and ahead of where it should be. So that leads us into this. This is a Hov-Molar diagram showing us our upcoming pattern, and this is going to change, especially very far out in time. So when you look at all this sinking air in the Atlantic in early August, don't think that's actually what's going to happen, because this goes back and forth, back and forth. And even all the way out until the middle of July, this can change very quickly. So this is not a forecast. This is just model guidance. This is trends that we look for. And right now, what we're looking for is any signs of any upward motion that moves into the Atlantic. For reference, this is a thumbnail right here. So we're looking at this box. Okay. So roughly, I would say about here and over. So this whole black box that I've put up here on screen shows us where we have the sinking air and where we have the rising air. And so we can see one area of rising motion. It tries to work its way all the way across the Atlantic. That's going to fail, it looks like, because all some sinking air right here. You do got some rising, at least attempting to cross into the Caribbean. More sinking after that, but look what happens. The European model is still being consistent here at showing that there is going to be a convective coupled Kelvin wave moving across from early July, at least through portions of the middle of July, before more sinking takes place here, with another attempt here at another convective coupled Kelvin wave perhaps. All right, so we don't need the MJO necessarily. All we need is localized forcing, and that is where convective coupled Kelvin waves come in hand. Here's another way to illustrate it. This is from the University of North Carolina, and this is their tropical page that that we're looking at. And so you can see here a little bit of a weak convective coupled Kelvin wave attempting to move into the Atlantic. It fails to do so. Maybe another weak signal here, not as minute as what we were seeing before. And then it looks like our next opportunity here is going to be around the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th of July. And this is based on now. This could change, but based on what we're seeing, it looks like the middle of July. It gives us a little bit more looking at to do, and be like, oh, we're going to need to watch July, the middle of July, for the potential for tropical development here in the Atlantic, because of a convective coupled Kelvin wave combined with some upward motion. A localized forcing mechanism might just be enough to unveil some of the activity. More stronger tropical waves, westerly wind anomalies, that sort of thing. More moisture, not as much drier air. And the thing is, if we don't get, in the worst case scenario or the best case scenario in this point is that we don't get any tropical development at all in the month of August. Not in August or in July. That does not mean that the season is over. It is a bust, because I know people are going to start talking about that if we don't get anything in July, as what I was promising in this live stream. It doesn't mean that the season's busted. We won't see anything. It just means that the background state is just not quite there yet. And once we go into the middle to the end of August, usually that second half, the last half or the last week of August, is when things just light up. It's just when things just kind of spark into place and the Atlantic shows its true colors. We could have a very backloaded season. All right, and for that, I want to show you all some analogs. See, let's go to full screen. Okay, so 2017 Atlantic hurricane season, I think that was a very backloaded season. No, that really wasn't. So I should have pulled this all up ahead of time. I really should have. I don't know why I didn't. So here's kind of a semi-example. Okay, this is not the best example out there, but it does its best. I'm doing my best here. So this is what kind of a backloaded season looks like. June had no activity. July, maybe one named storm. That's kind of what I'm thinking here, regardless of what the Euro is showing right now with its velocity potential anomaly. And then look at it. It was not even until we got into late August with Dorian, okay, that we had our first Category 5 hurricane. Okay. So it could be that way this year that, okay, we don't see anything here. We aren't. June is going to end up being dead. May has didn't see any named storms. July is a question mark. But if these 3 months are inactive, that just means August might see at least 1 to 4 named storms. And it's usually, look at this, not until we get into September and even into October when we get all these named storms. And look at this. All right, despite a backloaded season, this season right here alone, if we go and zoom up, still gave us 18 named storms. That is an above average season as far as the number of named storms go. Now, as far as the ACE goes, that's another story. Okay, so my point here is that we can still get to our letter S storm, even so we don't get to our B storm until mid to late July. It could even wait until early August and we could still make up. All right. It's not over until it's over. Okay. 2017. Let's look at 2017. I know that was not a really backloaded season, but that gave us 17 named storms. That's an above average season. Look at that. I mean, June had some activity, but look at short-lived tropical storms. Very, just not really an ace producer by any means. Okay. And again, it was not until we got into the middle of August, latter part of August into September, when things got really heated out there. And we went to our letter R storm that year. So yeah, better late than never, right? So in other words, if it's going to be a late season, that just gives you more time to prepare for these busy seasons, okay? Here's another, 2011 was below average, or 2015 was below average. So 2016, let's look at 2016. 15 named storms. So that is an above average season. Okay. Let's take a look at that. So look at June. Yeah, we had 3 named storms in June. We had nothing in July. We didn't have much at all in August, but look what September brought. Yeah, look what you can kind of get an idea. So in general, September and October are very busy months in the tropics. So that's why we look at this stuff. 2011, look at 2011. That had 19 named storms. So definitely an above average season. And again, number of named storms here didn't really matter because they were short-lived. They were not very strong at all. It was not until we got into, again, late August into September when that season really got active with, we had 4 major hurricanes that year. 4 major hurricanes, 7 hurricanes themselves, and 19 named storms. So again, that was also a semi-backloaded-ish season if you don't count the tropical storms. And even look at the first named storm didn't even form until late June, but really things didn't really get going until the middle of July. So this is typical. This is not unusual. Okay. I know a lot of people are like, it shouldn't be this dead though. The trade winds shouldn't be this strong. Well, look at last year. They were very weak and that didn't give us it gave us a busy season, but we were thinking 31, 35 named storms. That never happened. So I just wanted to clear some of that up with you all, that just because we are in hurricane season now doesn't mean we're supposed to have a named storm every week. No. All right. So any questions? So when do you think? So when do I think it will get active? I think again in mid-July, roughly late-ish or late-ish, mid-ish July is when I think. Like beyond the 8th and the 9th of July, I think is what my predictions are. But yeah, this is what we look for though. This is a signal right here. There are steps into the process, and this is one step forward. Weaker trade winds, westerly wind anomalies punching in like this, easterly winds like this is what we look for. So, yeah, I'm telling you, okay, the fact that we're getting rid of the trade winds in the first place is really important. Not completely, but enough to where water temperatures here are really going to warm up. What's up, Cyclonic? How are you doing? By the way, if you all are new, please subscribe to the channel, because when it comes to a hurricane making landfall within the next one or within a 24-hour period, we are going to be here covering it for you all live on the YouTube channel. So if you have not subscribed yet and you're thinking about doing so, thank you. Thank you so much. It's all right. It's all right. Cyclonic party gum, something like that. But yeah, not much to really cover it in this live stream at all. This was just a live edition that I wanted to kind of add in there. We're probably going to make it really short tonight just because I am tired. I need to eat. I've not ate much today at all. So unfortunately, it is going to be a shorter version tonight. But hey, I'm live. I'm spitting out content for you all. But again, cannot ignore this. Just cannot. Oh, yeah, Shannon. Oh, yeah. I mean, we could have a dead July, and yet August comes around and we get a lot of activity. And that's what we're going to wait to see. If we do not get one named storm until early September, then we could kind of start saying that, yeah, the chances of us getting 20 named storms isn't looking very, very likely once we get past the entire month of August. But until we get to the September 1st timeframe, there is that potential. It's never too late. And these westerly winds here do count a whole lot. They really do. Let's actually look at the EPS, the ensemble prediction model, and let's see what that's showing as far as our wind anomalies. Yeah, look at this. There is very strong confidence from the Euro that that's going to actually happen. What's up, Brady? How are you doing? That's why I update every day on the channel. I mean, look at even the GEFS ensemble has really weak trade winds, and the Canadian model ensemble is also showing the same thing. So there is excellent agreement here that our trade winds are going to fall apart in early July. That's the thing. That is definitely a big deal. Oh, nice. I'm glad you changed your name. Your profile picture, though, is black. I don't know if that was done on purpose. Do you think we might reach the Greek alphabet this year? Most likely not. That's not going to happen. Not going to happen in the Atlantic. Now, in the Eastern Pacific, That's a possibility at this rate if that rate continues, but it doesn't look like it's going to last too long either over there. Because if we do look at our 12Z model from the Euro, there's our last name storm. And I don't see anything forming in the Eastern Pacific after that. What's up, Weather Jamaica? How are you doing? What's up, Shebang? How are you doing? Why not in the Atlantic? It's just because the background state, the dry air that's involved, that's why we're not seeing any development. And I think that's a good thing, because the longer we wait, the more time you get prepared for what may be coming. And they have not updated this yet. So we're going to wait for a new update from the Climate Prediction Center on our intertropical convergence zone. This usually updates every week, but it has not updated yet. So we will hopefully see a new update coming out of that in the next 3 to 4 days. But yeah, what we're looking at here is just a lot of dry air, and that's normal. That is normal even in a very busy hurricane season. What's up, Aiden? So, yeah, any questions, anybody? Any questions? Oh boy. But yeah, if you guys are new to the channel and you do like the tropical weather updates, you like me tracking the tropics, please subscribe to the channel. It really, really does help out a lot. And check out my latest video, too. Is there any signs of things getting more favorable yet? In terms of the deterministic model output, not quite. However, though, there are signs before things do get favorable. We start to get stronger tropical waves coming off of Africa. This is what we're seeing here on the European model for the 6th of July. We have a nice, good tropical wave here that is coming off. Lots of moisture, man. This is lots of rainfall, lots of thunderstorm convection. And then when we take a look here at our wind anomalies, those are westerly wind anomalies. Those are very weak trade winds by all means, especially here. Like, look, you go from easterly winds and then they just shift. They just change direction. And if you follow my mouse, this is what we're seeing. This is what our winds are doing right here. They're coming in and out of the west. And that's what we look for. That's an enhancement of the monsoon trough coming off of Africa. How can we support the feed? Well, you can support by subscribing to the channel or simply donating if you wish. Oh, and also, thank you for reminding me. Before we get to any more questions here, I do have merchandise on the YouTube channel. So if you want to check out my merchandise, I just go to my channel here and click on store. And this is all of the merchandise that I have out right now. I am working on, or I'm going to be working on more, hopefully when I have time, whenever that it's going to be, hopefully in the next few weeks or so. I'll be able to create more merchandise here, adding more images, adding stuff of my own. So if you want to check that out, here are some of the products that we have. We have 6 products out now that you can check out. I know some of these are expensive, but that's all due to profit. In order to make profit, things have to get a little on the pricey side. Once prices out there drop, things will get to be, it'll get a little bit better. You know what I have to add? I'm going to have to add in some recon, like TDR stuff. Like when we have a tail Doppler radar and I get an image of something, I can be like, look what I found or something. You know, something like that looks really cool. David, is there any chance of rain next week towards the Leeward Islands? So let's take a look at the Leeward Islands. So under this pattern, we're looking at the European model first. So there does look to be more enhancement of tropical wave activity here. So there does look to be a bit of a wave moving through. And this would be in about 7 days, as we do get those trade winds that do fall apart. Now, again, depending on what model you use, like the GFS is also showing it there too. So that's going to be the next opportunity of some decent rain over the Leeward Islands. I know it's been lacking a little bit, but here's a little bit of a tropical wave here that's going to be moving through. And then you get a little bit of a break, and then another wave moves through. But these are very weak tropical waves by all means. So, yeah. But I know there's not a whole lot to talk about. There really isn't. And it's nature out there. Nature is very quiet out in the Atlantic. When are we going to get hurricane activity in 2025? Thought I responded to that Joker FF, but I'll do it again. In the middle of July, so between about the 8th of July through the middle of July is when I expect at least one named storm to form somewhere out here in the main development region, is where I think something is going to potentially form. Jekka TV, can't wait to see Velocity. Yeah, it looks like Velocity is not going to be nothing like Eric. Eric was a Cat 4 hurricane. Velocity does not look to be all that intense. Based on latest global models, are not that enthused on anything rapidly developing. And in fact, the Eastern Pacific here, something could form sooner and then just fall apart. So really, if Velocity tries to form, it could earn a brief name, and that's really about it. And again, right now, based on model trends, I'm looking at a low to mid-grade tropical storm with that. Nothing like we saw with Eric. And it does not look like it's going to move onto the coast of Mexico either. So that's a plus. I already answered your question, Joker. But yeah, as far as tropical activity goes, July is definitely going to be the month to watch. And just for reference, this is the pattern in the deep tropics right now. You got westerly winds aloft. Now watch what happens here. The flow starts to change. We start to get this easterly flow going. See this over here? So the winds do change direction. When we look at the European model, something similar shapes up here, where we get very light winds. The shear really backs off. So, yeah, hopefully that can cleans up the confusion because I know people are expecting, well, we should have our first name storm already. Okay, our average first name storm is not until about the 20th of June, which was yesterday. That's the average. It could wait until middle of July. It could wait until early July, for all we know. Or it could even wait until late July. It only matters if we don't get one name storm through the 1st of September. Then we start kind of shaking our head and scratching our head and figuring out, like, why is this season dead through all of August? Like, we haven't went through one name storm. That's when I would be like, yeah, we should wonder why. What's up? Bowser. What's up? Welcome to the channel, buddy. I'm glad you're prepared. That's what I like to hear. You're well prepared for anything that forms. What is Velocity's pressure on the GFS? About 980 millibars. 985, 990 millibars. So it's a weak to medium based tropical storm. But the euro is a lot weaker. It's only down to like 1,002 millibars is the strongest it actually gets. Let's see the Canadian model. Yeah, the Canadian is a lot more bullish. Very similar to Eric's track, actually. But it brings it down to about 985 millibars. So that would be like a strong tropical storm type intensity. Yep, looks like the heat's returning across the west. We jinxed it, I guess. But yeah, this wind shear is really going to fall apart, though, once we go into July. I mean, this is just residual upper level winds here due to some convection that happens over the eastern or western Caribbean. And you get this upper level flow. But these are Rossby wave type flow pattern with this easterly flow like this. So don't let that fool you that, oh, there's too much shear in the Caribbean. Well, okay. The Caribbean's not notorious of intense hurricanes, really. It's literally a graveyard. But, okay, I think that's all with the questions. That's good. None of you really have questions tonight, and that's because hopefully those were all answered in yesterday's video, honestly. All right, well, I am going to head off for the night, making this a bit on the short side, and that's perfectly fine. There really isn't a lot to talk about there in the tropics, and really this was, instead of a video format, we did a live stream tonight. So this is just one of the shorter live streams until something really big happens. When something really big happens, our streams, our discussions will be at least 2 hours long. At least an hour and a half to 2 hours long, if not longer. All right. Well, anyways, I hope you guys have a great night. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, okay? Because when you do subscribe, you're basically going to get notified only if you hit the bell icon, so you get all of my tropical weather updates. It's very, very important. People forget to hit the bell icon, and there you wonder why they're not getting notified. So if you have not subscribed yet, please do so. And if you do subscribe, hit the bell icon to where it says all notifications. So you get all notifications every time I release a video, a live stream, and have some fun with you guys. And lastly, please check out my merchandise if you haven't already. Okay? Well, anyways, have a great rest of your Saturday, folks. Thanks for tuning in to today's live stream on the tropics. I hope I did a great job at covering a lot, and I will be back with you more tomorrow. Tomorrow's always a tricky day, but we'll see. I'll try to get something out tomorrow, also on Monday. But just be aware, Tuesday is very iffy. I don't think I'll have anything out. I'll probably take 3 or 4 days off next week from YouTube. So don't expect a whole lot of content next week, but we'll be back in full shape once we go into the 4th of July week. All right. As always, have a great night. I'll be back with you more soon with more weather content.